I never thought the worst day of my life would happen in a ballroom full of crystal chandeliers and 150 guests in designer clothes. The slap came out of nowhere. My head jerked to the side. My glasses flew off and shattered on the marble floor, and for 3 full seconds, the entire room went dead silent. My cheek was burning, but the pain in my chest was worse, because the person who had just slapped me on her own wedding day was my daughter-in-law, Vanessa. And my son Daniel just stood there, doing nothing. If you enjoy these stories, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the American Elder Voices, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a new story. "Give me the keys to your apartment right now, you greedy old witch," Vanessa screamed, her veil still perfect, her $20,000 dress glowing under the lights. "You live alone in a 4-bedroom penthouse in the most expensive part of the city? What does a 69-year-old woman need all that space for? Daniel and I are starting a family. We need it more." 150 people stared, some mouths actually hanging open. I knelt down, trembling, gathering the pieces of my broken glasses, while tears rolled down my face. Nobody moved to help me. Not one person. Even Daniel looked at the floor as if I were invisible. That was the moment something inside me died, and something else was born. For 3 years, I had swallowed Vanessa's poison. The snide comments about my cheap clothes, the eye rolls at my 15-year-old Volvo, the fake concern. "Margaret, at your age, you really shouldn't be living alone in such a big place. What if you fall?" Every word wrapped in a smile that never reached her eyes. What nobody in that ballroom knew, not Daniel, not Vanessa, not a single guest, was that I, Margaret Eleanor Whitmore, part-time librarian, poor widow in discount store dresses, was worth $42 million. My late husband Thomas and I had quietly built one of the largest private real estate empires in the state. We chose to live modestly on purpose. "Money announces itself, silence protects you," Thomas used to say. We never imagined the threat would come from inside our own family. I stood up slowly, wiped my tears, and looked Vanessa straight in the eye. "Enjoy the rest of your party, darling. In 20 minutes, you're going to wish you had never laid a hand on me." I walked out of the Grand Riviera ballroom with my head high, while whispers exploded behind me. I got into my embarrassing old Volvo, took out my phone, and dialed a number I swore I would never have to use. "Leonard," I said the second he answered, "it's Margaret. Bring the red folder and the black USB drive. Meet me at the Grand Riviera in 15 minutes. It's time they learned who I really am." Leonard Harrington has been my attorney and trustee for 30 years. He knows every property, every account, every secret. He didn't ask why. He simply said, "On my way, Mrs. Whitmore." While I waited in the parking garage, memories flooded back like a horror movie on fast forward. 4 years ago, Daniel brought Vanessa home for the first time. She walked into my modest downtown apartment, took one look at the secondhand sofa and the faded curtains, and her smile vanished. "This is quaint," she said, her tone dripping with pity. Daniel, blinded by love, or whatever he thought love was, didn't notice. Within weeks, the comments started. "Margaret, have you ever thought of downsizing? You really don't need all these rooms. I found the cutest assisted living facility. They have bingo every Thursday." Then came the ambush family meeting 6 months before the wedding. Vanessa and her parents showed up unannounced with folders and glossy brochures. Daniel sat silently while Vanessa's father, a failed real estate broker, explained how selling my apartment would be the responsible thing to do and how the money could help the young couple start their life. When I refused, Vanessa's mask slipped for the first time. "You're being selfish," she hissed. "Daniel has sacrificed everything for you. The least you can do is give us what we deserve." I started investigating that same night. What I discovered made my blood run cold. Daniel and Vanessa were drowning in debt. $340,000 in credit cards, personal loans, and luxury car leases. Their wedding budget alone was $180,000, every cent on credit. They had already spoken to shady lawyers about adult guardianship laws. They had a plan B, If I didn't hand over the apartment willingly, they would have me declared mentally incompetent and take everything by force. For 4 years, I had been secretly paying their bills, $6,200 every single month. Rent on their designer loft, the Mercedes and the Range Rover, Vanessa's shopping sprees, even part of the wedding deposit. Daniel thought the money came from overtime bonuses and tax refunds. He never asked questions because the truth would have been uncomfortable. Headlights cut through the darkness. Leonard stepped out of his Bentley, holding the red folder and a slim black USB drive. Inside the folder, property titles, bank statements, trust documents. On the USB, 4 years of bank transfers, recorded phone calls, and private investigator reports, proving their conspiracy. We walked back into the ballroom together. The string quartet stopped mid-note the second we entered. 150 phones came out instantly. Vanessa spotted me and laughed out loud. "Back for round 2, Grandma? Security." Leonard's voice cut through the room like a blade. "Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Leonard Harrington of Harrington and Associates. I represent Mrs. Margaret Whitmore. I have urgent legal announcements concerning tonight's bride and groom." Vanessa's face went white beneath her perfect makeup. Daniel looked like he was about to be sick. Leonard opened the red folder and held up the first document so the nearest guests could see. Effective immediately, all financial support provided by Mrs. Whitmore to Daniel and Vanessa Whitmore is terminated. This includes $6,200 monthly transfers totaling $297,600 over the last 4 years. Money that paid for your rent, your cars, your vacations, and 55% of tonight's wedding. A collective gasp swept the room. Someone shouted, "Holy crap!" Leonard continued, voice calm and merciless. "The lease on the Riverside loft is guaranteed personally by Mrs. Whitmore. That guarantee is now revoked. You have 30 days to vacate or face eviction proceedings. Both vehicles are registered in Mrs. Whitmore's holding company. They will be repossessed by morning." Vanessa screamed, "She's lying! She's a broke old woman! Look at her shoes!" Leonard ignored her and held up the next document. Finally, the entire cost of this wedding, venue, catering, flowers, photographer, band, $182,000, was privately guaranteed by Mrs. Whitmore. That guarantee is canceled effective now. Payment is due before any guest leaves the premises tonight. The ballroom manager, who had been watching from the side, went pale and started frantically typing on his tablet. Daniel finally found his voice. "Mom, please, you can't do this. Not here, not like this." I stepped forward, looked my son in the eye, and spoke for the first time since the slap. "I didn't do this, Daniel. You did. You stood by while your wife assaulted me. You planned to steal my home. You investigated having your own mother declared insane. I simply stopped protecting you from the consequences of your choices." Vanessa lunged at me, nails out, screeching. 2 security guards caught her mid-air. Leonard wasn't finished. "One more thing. Mrs. Whitmore has amended her revocable trust. All previous provisions for Daniel Whitmore have been removed. The entire $42 million estate now passes to the Margaret Whitmore Foundation for the Protection of Elder Rights." The room erupted. Phones were filming from every angle. Someone in the back actually started clapping. Vanessa collapsed to the floor, sobbing into her $20,000 dress. Daniel just stared at me, mouth open, tears streaming down his face. "Mom, I didn't know. We thought you were—" "You thought what you wanted to think," I said quietly. "You saw an easy mark instead of a mother. Goodbye, Daniel." Leonard and I walked out. Behind us, we could hear the manager shouting, "Nobody leaves until we have payment." Guests were tripping over each other to escape the chaos. 18 months later, my foundation has recovered more than $11 million for seniors who were being financially abused by their own children. We've opened 3 crisis centers and a 24-hour hotline. My memoir, The Night I Stopped Pretending to Be Poor, spent 21 weeks on the bestseller list. Daniel and Vanessa were evicted 3 weeks after the wedding. The cars were repossessed. Collection agencies took everything that wasn't nailed down. Last I heard, Vanessa moved back with her parents, and Daniel works the night shift at a warehouse. 3 times he has tried to contact me. each time only to ask for money, never once an apology. Some bridges, once burned, can never be rebuilt. And every day I wake up knowing I finally put a price on my dignity, and that price turned out to be $42 million and one perfectly timed slap in the face of greed. If you're watching this and someone is trying to take what's yours, your home, your savings, your peace of mind, remember this: the quiet little old lady in the corner just might own the entire room. And sometimes the best revenge is simply letting people discover who you really are, after they've shown you exactly who they are. Thank you for listening to my story. If it helped even one person find the courage to stand up, then every tear I cried that night was worth it. See you in the next one.